Pregame.com.
Friday night NBA action. We've got the Phoenix Suns traveling to the LA Lakers. Scott, we're projecting this line. We're taping on Wednesday, and this game's on Friday. The Lakers don't play between now and then, but Phoenix does, so that could have an effect on the line. I'm projecting it at 9. You projected it at 8, so let's just split the difference and say 8.5 here for the Lakers. Phoenix has been on, they've been playing, their schedule's been murderous, so this is a bad spot for them. The Lakers are going to be rested, not playing since Tuesday, but the Lakers just finished up one of those long road trips. They played a 6-game road trip, and as I said in one of our earlier videos, the Lakers, this will be their second game back home, even though they did win their first game back home off the long road trip. It wasn't the greatest of performances. It was a sluggish game. They ended up winning by 8. Low-scoring game, in the 80s. So the Lakers should be better tonight from that. But I still think this line's going to just be a little bit too inflated with them. I just don't trust this Laker team laying points this year.
It's tough to trust either one of these teams, but you're right about the Lakers. And, the one thing about Phoenix is they seem to get a little shot in their arm when they kind of removed Brown and Warwick from the mix. And they went on, I believe, a 6-3 run and have since lost a couple of games going into Wednesday night. And check also the status of Steve Nash and Grant Hill. There's nothing wrong with them other than the fact that they wanted to give them a little rest. And I know going into Wednesday's game, they were both listed as questionable, but they do have Thursday off, a little buffer there, a little bit chance to rest up. I'm sure they'll be raring to go against the LA Lakers. The Lakers, as you mentioned, on 2 days rest, I would lean towards the Lakers in this one. I'm not big at laying big points in the NBA, especially in this condensed season. But when I started breaking this game down and I started reading some things a couple of nights ago about Metta World Peace really becoming a distraction, believe it or not, Ron Artest a distraction, is starting to become a distraction in the locker room with these LA Lakers. Under Phil Jackson, Jackson had the mentality to keep this guy cool, to give him his minutes, and he was able to play well and be an asset to this team. He hasn't seen eye to eye with Mike Brown since day one of Mike Brown's hiring, and now Mike Brown is, he's tired of these shots that he's taken out of the context of what the offense is trying to do. He's also ice cold, and so Brown's sitting him down for big chunks of the game, and Metta World Peace is about ready to go off, and there's not going to be a lot more peace. Couple of unnamed Laker players that wished to remain anonymous were telling an LA reporter off the record that he is really a distraction right now, and he's really getting on the nerves of some of the veteran players that still remain with the Lakers. So, we might see something happen in the next week or so with Metta World Peace, because World Peace might be turning right back into Ron Artest.
Well, the situation, I'm surprised that he hasn't gone off yet, because he's a bomb waiting to explode at any time. But rumor mill is that they're looking at, Gilbert Arenas, and that you go from one nut job to another. I mean, what do you want? I mean, it's Hollywood, I guess, But the other thing, the reason why I'm leaning towards Phoenix here is this is the first of a back-to-back home and home with Phoenix. So they're going to play again in 2 days in Phoenix. And I just don't see the Lakers, blowing them out, embarrassing them when you got to come right back and play them again in 2 days. And Phoenix, if they're resting players, that's kind of telling me, yeah, we're resting them for this one. We're looking down the road, and definitely being a TV game, being the Lakers, that's a game they're going to want to come to play. This game's on TV Friday night on ESPN. So as we always do, there's certain teams in every sport you pay a premium for. You're going to pay a premium for Notre Dame in football. You're going to pay a premium for the Yankees in baseball, Celtics and Lakers in basketball, and throw the game on TV. Make it the last game on the schedule, last chance to bail out for the average bettor. Vegas knows where the money's going to go. So I think you're going to be just getting too much of a tariff to lay the Lakers for me to be comfortable. I'm actually got a weak vote to Phoenix, but this is not, a super strong play by any means for me with the game, because Phoenix, like you said, they're like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. When they play well, they look like they could possibly be, a bottom-end playoff team. But then when they're bad, like, last night they got blown out in Denver, they're bad.
Yeah, well, it's a UT game. It's a UTK game, I like to call it to me, and that means it's up to Kobe. And, you know, he scored 48 in that first meeting when they beat Phoenix 99-83, I believe was the final score. And it's basically up to him. I would say if you're going to back the Lakers, you kind of hope this is a fairly close game going into the fourth quarter because the Lakers will have to stay focused. At least Kobe will have his focus on the game. If they're up 15 to 18 points at the end of three, you probably got a pretty good shot at catching a backdoor cover here with the Phoenix Suns because the Lakers may not be as intense over the final 6 or 7 minutes of this game if they have a big lead. But here's the thing. Yeah, they're having a real rough time making that transition from the triangle-based offense under Phil Jackson to what they're trying to do now under Mike Brown, and you've got distractions like Ron Artest, Metta World Peace who are getting in the way. You have the Paul Gasol thing where he's upset because they were shopping him around to try to get Chris Paul out of New Orleans. This is all added up, and I'm really surprised. You know, you have to give the Lakers some credit, I think, for everything they've gone through since basically the league came back together before the season began, that they're 17-12 as we talk about this basketball team. The offense is struggling. Defensively, they're one of the top defensive teams in every important category right now in the NBA. So they're still playing hard, still getting it done on the defensive end. But if you're going to cover big spreads like we're going to see on Friday night, you better be able to make some baskets, not just Kobe. Bottom line is, for me, though, I think they're going to find a way to win this game by about 10 points.
Well, and again, depending what this line comes out, you know, you could be floating pretty close. You know,
sure, real close. It's not a play; it's a lead.
Yeah. If you know, and it's going to depend on what happens tonight with Phoenix. Sure. What kind of showing Phoenix has. Actually, personally, I'm hoping Phoenix gets blown out tonight because then if they're off back-to-back blowouts, then I'm really going to get an inflated number on Friday. And then I see the value.
Especially if you got Nash and Hill kind of taking it easy tonight if they are getting blown out in the fourth quarter. So it's something to look forward to. Yeah.
And that's something that it's a good handicapping tip, and it's something that you got to look at. I know I do. You got to look at the box scores and see how the coaches are holding their team together as far as minutes, because you've got to be more of a game manager than ever before this year, because your stars normally in a 48-minute game, it's not uncommon for your main guys to play 40 or 42 minutes. They can't do that this year night after night because the schedule's just, the games are back up against one another. You're going to burn your guys out. So they got to spell them and give them stretches. But if you have a coach that the game gets out of hand and he just says,
enough's enough,
let's
aim for the next game.
And then you've got, the public just looks at the final score. Exactly. They don't dig in. They only see what they see with their eyes, and their eyes are the final score. That's it. They got blown out. This team's garbage, but they don't dig in and see the starters didn't play the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. They get, you know.
You see what's going on with Houston, by the way? Speaking of that, Kevin McHale. I mean, all of a sudden his bench is playing more than his starters, and they're actually contributing more than the starters. You know, it just popped into my head as we're talking about this. There's a team that everybody is going to want to kind of pay attention to. We're getting off the Phoenix Lakers game here, but falling in line with what you're saying about with what coaches are doing. McHale has these bench players coming off the bench now, and sometimes taking over the game and scoring more than the starters, and that's going to help make them a better team at least throughout the rest of the regular season, maybe not in the postseason. Popovich is a guy who's great. And if San Antonio's playing a ton of games in 6 or 7 days, he's going to pick at least one game there where, you know, Duncan gets a lot of time off, or maybe even Parker's going to get a lot of time off. So there are certain coaches who will play to the schedule.
Well, back to Kevin McHale. I heard that he was doing it. He wanted to make sure there was no more Linsanity on the
bench. That's what it was.
he didn't want to cut another guy. You know, he wanted to make sure they were good. So he's got to feel pretty dumb right now. But there you go. Weak votes. We're on opposite sides. You know, we don't do that often, but, you know, hey, we're here to break the games down and have, you know, tell you how we're thinking about the games. Scott's got a, you know, mild vote to the Lakers. I've got a, you know, lean to Phoenix. I'm hoping to see a 9, maybe a 9.5, and then I'd get involved. Scott's hoping to see that 8 or 8.5, and he's involved.
Well, I'm not involved. It's just a lead. I don't care if the line's 8 or 7.5. This won't be a game on my slate as far as my money's concerned.
All right. Well, there you have it for Friday night. You can carry on the conversation. Go into pregamevideos.com. We'll have our show notes up. You can see, talk to us, ask us any questions, and especially with these games based on, like I said, Phoenix playing tonight, how that affects Friday night's game. You can ask us those questions, and we'll stop by and answer them.
Sounds good.
He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. That does it for us this week on the videos. There will be one more set of videos done. They'll be in the studios tomorrow. Vegas Runner and Brian Leonard will be doing videos for Saturday and Sunday games, so be sure to check those out at pregame.tv. They'll be up later in the week. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back next week.